The new movie Rosewood just opened. It is the true story of a prosperous black town in Florida that was literally wiped off the map by an angry white mob in the early 1920s. I'm here now with our entertainment reporter, Bo Griffin, along with Sandra Maxwell. Sandra is a teacher at Milam Elementary School, and her grandfather survived the Rosewood Massacre. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here. And before we get started in our discussion, let's take a look at Bo's report on the movie about a nightmare that was known as Florida's dirty little secret.
Rosewood in the 20s, a black prosperous community of about 100 people. But that all changed on New Year's Day, 1923. A white woman named Fannie Taylor claimed that she'd been attacked by some reports raped by a black man. And within a week, Rosewood burned to the ground.
I heard some guns shooting, I heard the dogs howling, but I didn't know what was happening.
Come on, give us a breathing space!
The film Rosewood depicts 7 horrific days when angry white men struck out from a neighboring town to hunt for the woman's attacker. Newspaper headlines tell the story: burning, beating, lynching, shooting.
I believe they burned every house they could find from there to Sumner.
No, when I met those people, who had lived it, and I looked in their eyes and I felt their pain and their suffering, me having an opportunity to be able to tell their story, I had to do it, and try to do it in as big a way and as hard a forceful way as I could.
Singleton bases the movie on the true story, but he also invents the character of a black hero played by actor Ving Rhames.
I was very proud of the movie, but looking at man's inhumanity to man, it was almost as if I didn't really want to believe that man could do this to man. This is really something that happened in America by Americans to Americans. So to me, the scope of the film is much broader than an African-American history film.
Singleton also changed history by leaving out some of the event's most gruesome details. But here's a warning: the movie is still extremely disturbing.
I walked out.
You walked out? What, of my movie?
I walked out of your movie.
Well, why are you talking to me?
I came back. But is that the reaction that you wanted? Did you want to disturb people that much that they couldn't take it?
No, I want people to really to know how important this story is and how deep it is. I mean, hey, I want people to be emotionally affected. So I guess I did my job in your case.
Certainly a job well done. Singleton also succeeds by casting actors who can relate to Rosewood.
I can relate to them because they were proud black people, and so am I. And I was born in a household like that, so I understood Sarah and what she was about. She was a leader, she was an example, she was a teacher, she was a mother for the city.
If there was one thing that you could tell people, a reason why they should go and see this film, because this film to me was personally very disturbing. But if there is any one reason that you could give why they should go and see this film, what would you tell them?
See if you're brave enough to look in the mirror. It's a mirror of all of us.
Mr. Mayor.
Bo Griffin and Sandra Maxwell are joining us now. Sandra, tell me, what did you think? What's your reaction? Is it true to life?
It's very true to life. It's very realistic. I am very proud that Singleton was able to keep it true. He was able to make the characters actually be my family members that exist in Rosewood. He portrayed them very positive but very strong. Mm-hmm. He portrayed the town as it was, a thriving black town who really, the blacks there were making it. They were doing the kinds of things that they needed to do to survive. Mm-hmm. Parts of the movie was very disturbing, knowing that there were people who could do such hideous things to other individuals and walk away.
As was said, man's inhumanity to man.
Right.
Bo, you walked out of the movie, as you said. How difficult is this to take?
To me, personally, it was extremely difficult. And I think for anyone who is upset
at watching a child being murdered by its father, anyone who is upset at watching another inhumanity to another human being, you're going to be disturbed by this, because the problem is that you cannot sit there and not be affected and know that how can you look in my face, in my eyes, and how could you hurt me this way? How could you tear apart my family this way? So if you have any morsel of humanity in you, you're going to feel, and it doesn't matter what color you are.
You say you got up and walked out and then you went back in. I assume you're glad you stayed.
Yeah. Yeah, because there are a lot of moments that are extremely inspirational. The good thing is that the hope is there, meaning that at the right moment, at the right time, that we will do the right thing as human beings. Your grandfather, Sandra, having been part of this, what were the stories he told you as a child, or what were the stories you heard as a child?
My mother first told me that there was a town that my grandfather couldn't go back to. Being as young as I was, I couldn't figure out what kind of town he couldn't go back to, because I was young. I didn't understand. Eventually, I began to hear little tidbits about a massacre, family members killed, but my grandfather never really wanted to sit down and talk about it. In later years, my Aunt Lee Ruth Davis of Miami began to talk about the story for 60 Minutes in 1982. And that's when I began to really listen and take note to what was happening.
How did something like this stay quiet for so many years? Your aunt was the one who really brought this to the public knowledge in 82. How did it stay quiet?
Because the crimes were so hideous. Atrocities took place. For those that survived, to keep it within means not to acknowledge it. To not talk about it would not bring back a lot of memories that made a lot of these people survive. And some of the things that happened, to remember, would really emotionally wipe them out. They would be totally drained.
As far as the film goes, Bo, you were saying they actually recreated the town.
I mean, almost as a prototype. I mean, even they had a working train. They constructed a railroad that ran about 1 mile. The actual home of Sarah Carrier and her family, they constructed the entire town. It was really amazing what they did. So from what I understand, for a few of the survivors who actually, or their families who were able to go back, they were just overwhelmed that, you know, once again, that Rosewood stood. But I mean, it was that true to nature. I mean, the way that they did it.
You actually had an opportunity to go back and see this recreation, right?
Yes.
What
it
was
was
your reaction?
fantastic.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I kept looking because they had described my grandfather's house in the Florida hearings. They talked about the 2-story white house with the white curtains and the yards and the pigs and all of this. When I got there and actually saw it, tears began to come to my eyes to say, this is my grandfather's home. I finally took my mother back, and she just cried and cried and cried because here she had another piece of her father back who had died in 1957.
Bo, very quickly, last word, should we go see this movie?
You should definitely go see the movie. I mean, maybe I'm just a little emotional, but I think that anyone who goes to see it, you're going to feel the same way, but you're going to walk away knowing that we do have hope in one another, and if we do one thing together, is that we can move forward. And it is a wonderful film, and yes, together we can achieve great things.
Sandra Maxwell, Bo Griffin,
Love
thanks
you.
both for being here, guys. We'll be back in just a moment.